From the Pink Seats podcast, we are back, rolling along, countdown to kickoff, just a couple of weeks away from football being played, football that counts out at Cardinal Stadium. Man, it is a beautiful time as we inch closer and closer. This Saturday, there were some preseason games on in the NFL, and it was just fantastic to have my coffee. You know, it was a little steamy outside, but to have football on the TV in the morning, it felt like at my own preseason, if you will. I'm Jacob Lane, Vince LeCoco, producer Keith, Tan Keith over here. All the sunburn is finally settled in, and now he's looking like Rigo Suave.
Like, no, I was thinking more Razor Ramon.
Oh, that's a heck yeah.
You
man.
mean Travis Kelce repping that photo shoot?
There you go. Love the reference. Subscribe to the show if you haven't. Right here on the State of Louisville Network, we are coming to you from the Kearns Corner studio. Shout out to our friends there. Make sure that if you've not been there, that you check them out. One of the best burgers in the city, the place to be. One of our favorite spots. But boys, we got a lot of football to get into, and I'm excited to do so. But first, how's everybody doing? It's great to see you all.
I'm doing swell. I heard there was a inter-podcast showdown last night that went down in the wee hours of the evening. I'm curious on how that went, boys.
Yeah.
I'll hang up and listen.
Know. Yeah, first time caller, long time listener. Look at you trying to start beef. I mean, look, man. You know the all knowing football guy won. If you will. Yeah.
I just know the score was 7-7, and we got hit with a desync. It was really unfortunate.
We did, and I told Keith, like, first play, first score. Keith throws like a 78-yard bomb. It's Georgia Tech to SMU. We could get into this for hours. We're not going to spare the details, but that first play, I'm sitting there like, okay, man, this is going to be like 7-7, Cincinnati, Louisville type of game in here. This is not good. Came back, scored on my first drive, and then we glitched out, man. But we had a great battle. We did. I think you could, in the game, one of the hard parts about playing online is the glitches and internet. You've seen on this show if you followed for years. Our internet is not always to be trusted. It's not. It doesn't discriminate whether it's a podcast or video games. It's it's questionable at best. But I walked away victorious. So shout out to me. Very embarrassing though. Just a little bit behind the scenes here. I'm an audible processor. I speak out loud to process things. Sometimes people ask, "Are you talking to yourself?" And I'm like, "It's not weird unless you're answering yourself." But me as a football play caller is talking through every single detail and did not realize that PlayStation 5 controllers pick that audio up and share it with the person on the other side. And now I look like an absolute asshole. So that was fun. Yeah. Great moment. But hey, it's good banter. Eventually we'll get together on stream, the three of us, and play and do that type of stuff. But it was fun to get on the sticks. Keith, how are you, man?
Tired, man. Long weekend, just trying to get ready for the season, man. I actually tuned into some preseason NFL, little behind the curtain. Not a big NFL guy anymore. The Dolphins have broken me, if I haven't already made that apparent. Completely.
What do you mean? They got their quarterback of the future in Quinn Ewers, man. What do you mean?
Yes, we do.
Completely forgot the NFL changed their kickoff rules to the old XFL rules, which was freaking awesome. I love that. So I tune in. I'm like, okay, we'll watch Shuck and Q a little bit today just to see how they do. And I see that first kickoff, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. I forgot.
It's just like I said, it's great to have football back on. And it's hard for me to watch preseason for long periods of time because it's just like, who are these dudes? These are made up auto-generated players that I've never heard of. And I mean, Keith, I'm sure you know more than I do, but I'm like, it feels like half of these guys, and they won't be around in the next couple of weeks. So hey,
the
at least
frustrating
it's
thing about
practice.
preseason football for me is seeing the clips. Like, you'll see one clip of Tyler Shuck where it'll be him throwing a 60-yard bomb, and then the next scroll I have on Twitter is him tripping and Saints fan being like, he's the worst thing ever.
Yeah,
it's like,
right.
I have no idea how anybody is truly doing. I mean, same with Shooter Sanders. I'll see one clip where it'll be somebody raving about him, and then another where somebody's just absolutely dogging him. So I have no idea what's going on with anyone in preseason football.
NFL fans are a whole different breed of, we'll say fickle. We'll be nice.
Yeah, very, very impatient to say the least. But what I do know, guys, is that I'm not an entertainer. I show up here as a hard worker. Other guys like Keith, they're here to entertain. But I am a hard worker. And speaking of hard work, guys, tonight we're going to talk about the thing that is the hardest thing to do in football, in my opinion. The side of the field that no matter what they do, it's never good enough. Even though they do say defense wins
very important
championships.
Football games.
Yeah, that's what I say. And tonight, as we get into part 3 of the countdown to kickoff, as we just round the corner to Louisville football, we're going to dive into the defensive side of things. And there is no shortage of storylines, directions to go to this way. So, boys, I know this is kind of the direction we went with the offense. So I'm just going to start here again. Biggest kind of individual player unit storyline heading in to 2025. Vince, I'll start, or Keith, I'll start with you. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, just peeking over the show notes, didn't see this one listed, and I feel like it's sort of the lingering one. Ron English, can he figure it out? Can he be the guy, or is this the year we find out that changes need to be made? Like, he's been with Coach Braum for, God, I don't know how many consecutive years now, going back to Purdue and coming back now. We saw great defense in 2023, really slipped up last year. So will the real Ron English please stand up? Let's figure out what we have on D this year.
Yeah, man. And I said this a couple weeks ago doing radio with our friend Matt. The thing about that storyline is that, one, no one's really talked about it. Like, last year was a really big topic of conversation, debated it, wondered, will it happen? I think I even was like, I think if change is going to happen, it'll be by this week based off schedule. Obviously that didn't happen. And then just kind of no change in the staff, as we got into that very pivotal portion of time. And then it just kind of fades into the abyss. And as we've gotten closer to the season, all stories and reports seem to indicate that things are getting better. But Vince, I mean, I don't know where you're going to go, but that seems like, that right there is the biggest, because if Ron English this defense doesn't perform well, one, this team's not going to probably be very good, at least not what we expect. Right. And two, Ron's probably out the door, headed out of Louisville.
So what I think is going to be the biggest storyline, and what I think will help Ron English throughout the year, is obviously who's going to fill the role of Ashton Gillotte in the pass rush, and can Cleve Lubin and can the rest of this defensive line and front seven really get a push. And we all know that if you can get a push on the quarterback and you can disrupt the quarterback, even getting him outside the pocket, moving his feet around, that helps out the secondary. There are things that are called coverage sacks. So, if we could have a good back end too, they both are kind of a yin and yang together, the back end and the front end. So I just think that the front seven will be the most important part of this defense. Can we get a good pass rush? Can we stop the run? And that's it for me for sure. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think Keith the big one.
No, I think those are equally as big storylines. I think what we've talked about the most out of those has obviously been the replacing of Quincy Riley and Ashton Gillotte, and some of the other guys. Mason Reiger, I know he didn't play last year, but was obviously big part of the team the year before. So they've had to kind of restock the cupboard, if you will, and they've done a good job. Like, you mentioned Cleve Lubin, but Wes Bailey is another one that comes in from Rutgers who probably will play that that role of Ashton, at least on kind of where he lined up and how Ashton did. And you'll obviously have some flexibility there with how you can play Lubin, but you'll also have some of the other guys that have come in here, like more of the depth-based pieces who can be kind of what we saw with totally blanking on his name now, but the outside linebacker from South Florida last year, Terrell Logan, who stepped in and was a really nice surprise to Ashton. But then you mentioned this secondary, and for me, that might be the easy answer, but it is really one of the things that I think is going to make or break this team. We saw their struggles last year with giving up big plays, the miscommunications, especially early on in the season. And that was with guys like Quincy Riley, with Corey Thornton, with Tamarion McDonald, with Taz Nicholson, these guys who were very prominent, proven, high-level P4 football players. And you lose Quincy to the NFL, Corey Thornton out here trying to audition for the WWE. You see all these things, and the development that they have. And while I trust Steve Ellis, and you see Storm Duck 2 years ago, you see last year, or Jarvis Brownlee the year before, Quincy last year, Corey Thornton. I have confidence that he can coach this group up, but you're really relying on transfers who are stepping up a level in Rodney Johnson, and Justin Aju, and or Aju, making me want a prime rib sandwich now, like Aju.
That'd be a good NIL deal for him.
Yeah, it would. Hey man, that's a good one. Don't give the secret sauce away. We'll take it. I'm noting that.
The secret sauce. It's Aju.
Yeah.
But Jacob, to your point, I'm gonna group these inside linebackers in with the secondary when you're talking the coverage, because they do have to drop back into pass coverage as well. And there were multiple instances last year where we would see there'd be good coverage on the back end from the corners and safeties, and it'd be somebody slipping out of the backfield that linebacker is supposed to be covering that just was taking the wrong angle or just didn't make it there in enough time to make a play on the football. So that's another thing to watch with TJ Quinn and Stanquan Clark this year, and TJ Capers and some of these other guys who are going to be rotating in at that position.
Yeah, and look, there's a lot more proven success there with those guys. We'll talk about them here in a second, because one of them that you mentioned is likely the kind of face and star of this defense. But you're relying on 4 corners essentially stepping up from non-power 5 football, non-power 4 football, and you're thrusting 2 of them potentially into starting roles. That's a pretty scary place to be. Now, again, you give Steve Ellis the benefit of the doubt in how he's coached, but if you can get the most out of those guys, you can get the most out of some of the other pieces that are there, like Mosby, like Antonio Harris at the cornerback spot specifically. If Nigel Williams can give you something as a reserve run stopper, and then of course Tayon Holloway, who added kind of at the last minute, maybe just maybe you can be just good enough to be that unit to be good, not great, but that honestly again is going to make or break whether Ron English has a job next year.
A good pass rush, like going back to my point, where a good pass rush can help to mask, having a mid to average secondary, because the quarterback is obviously going to be thinking about, oh shoot, what are they dialing up here on a blitz? I mean, I'm going to have seconds to look at my first read and, not even have enough time to go to a second read. So hopefully the pass rush can help to, improve the secondary and give the secondary a little bit of confidence while they're out there on the field.
One thing that should also help the secondary out, and maybe it's just me having confidence, but the interior defensive line as well as the linebacking core forcing a lot of teams to be one-dimensional. We talked about it a lot, but I mean, you go back to that Clemson game last year and how we were able to just completely control them from running the ball. I think it took Phil Maffa like 30 carries to just barely get over 100 yards, and he was touted as one of the best running backs in the country and showed it on many occasions. This interior defensive line is still very, very good, and if they can hold up that level of play, we can force teams to be one-dimensional. It helps with game planning. It helps with coverage because you're forcing teams to be in bad situations more often than not, and it's something that can help the defense just be good. And I mean, we've talked about it on previous podcasts. You don't have to go out there. You don't have to be the 85 Bears. Just be good. This offense can handle it.
And that's exactly right. You got to just make sure you do the little things extremely well. And you talk about the corners, but the last portion on the back end of the defense is going to, obviously, a lot of that's going to depend on the success of transfers. Corey Gordon and JoJo Evans, who come over from Baylor and then from FIU respectively. Behind them, a lot of unproven names: Dave McCullough, Blake Ruffin, Michael Rice, incoming freshman. You do have D'Angelo Hutchinson, who will play a little bit there, a little bit probably as one of the hybrid linebackers. You might see him a little bit at corner. He's a very versatile guy, but there's a lot of things that you feel confident in. I mean, I think Gordon and Evans could be together an upgrade from what you had last season if they both go the way that you expect them to. But I also could see issues with just some of the things that you see over time with safeties having to compensate for corners who struggle. And I think that could be an issue for them.
One thing I will point out, if training camp is to be believed, Hutch has played very well, and he's been the one with the ones, not Corey Gordon. So a pleasant surprise with D'Angelo Hutchinson producing the way he has.
I just want to see clear communication from that back end. I don't want to see any confusion, people throwing their hands up the last second before the ball snapped. heads getting around last second before the ball snapped. If we can eliminate the confusion and just be all on the same page, running the same defense and the same play, and not be, one side of the field running cover 3, one side running cover 2.
Right.
I mean, like, it's just wild the situations you find yourself in within a football game. So sometimes you think would never happen.
So Coach English talked about that during training camp as well, and some of the media spats where it's just like talking about we didn't have the players to run the defense. Like they just couldn't get it right. I didn't think there was that much of a turnover in the secondary, but it's one of those things where like no one has contradicted him. Like Coach Brum supported Coach English as well on this. So that's something we're definitely going to find out, I would assume, in the first 3, maybe 4 games if we have to actually get to a non-bye game. Was it the players who just couldn't do it, or were you just screwing something up?
That's a really underrated portion of that story. I mean, honestly, is the communication side of it, and whether, players need coaches to communicate. If the coaches aren't doing a good job of getting the play called and, down to the right people and in, I mean, I'm sorry, I can only go as fast as you give me the play, coach.
Right. Vince, and I mean, there were plenty of instances. I remember being on the sidelines where, with Brian Brown would be getting the play call in just super late, and it's hard for the defense to, 1, process the play that they're being given, and then 2, make the adjustments to the rest of the defense based off what the offense is running. It's just a lot that goes on. A lot of bullets are flying at defensive football players before the ball is even snapped, that they have to just analyze. They have to analyze so much more stuff than an offense.
I want this defense Keith mentioned, and Vince, you talked about like the not looking around, moving and shifting because they're in the wrong spot. Like if you're going to be a defense that creates havoc, you got to be able to show a defense something pre-snap and potentially not run that, be able to move guys, disguise things. And last year, I mean, shit, they're just like, what'd you say? What's the play? Like, we're just trying to get the play in, let alone like, oh, I'm supposed to be up, with the fake blitz. I will say the fake blitz from Gilbert Frierson last year was a thing of
all that stuff comes with your game prep too, Jacob. You have to be able to know what your opponent's running, what your opponent likes to line up in first, second, third down, with the down and distance paired up with that. And that's where you can start getting creative as a football player within your defense on what, if I want to be, like we were talking pre-show, if I want to be pressed up in a cover 3, knowing I can bail out on this guy right here, just these different things that you learn in your game prep. Hopefully I'm sure the guys are game prepping well, but if we can elevate the game prep in any shape or fashion, I'm sure the coach would love that.
And hopefully, early on you can kind of keep it simple the first couple of weeks, not, obviously you don't want to pump the brakes in terms of being like, well, we got to bring him along slow. No, screw that. If this is a, playoff contending team, you need to hit the ground running. But at the same time, you can simplify things in a way against EKU and against Bowling Green and, some of the other teams on Louisville's schedule up front to then be prepared to kind of take that next step of confidence and overall execution when you get into the middle of that schedule and the meat of it, with the Pittsburgh coming right after that. That's going to be super important.
You should be able to run your base defense and win these first 3-4 football games pretty handedly, and just have a couple variations off your base defense, a blitz here, a blitz there, that your opposing team the following week is going to have to prep for in some shape or fashion. Outside that, run your base, get really good at your base, and then you can start to add the variations week to week off that once we hit real conference play.
I mean, there's a number of storylines. I was going to, bring up some of the other positions, and you mentioned linebackers before we get into the pass rush and where you guys know that I want to go. I do want to talk a little bit about linebackers and the evolution of Stanquan Clark. We knew coming in that class of 2023 that this was a guy who had a lot of potential to be a star and become, the next face of Louisville's defense. And I would make the argument that this year that is desperately needed. Somebody to put their stamp as the guy. So Keith, I'll ask you, do you envision this year being the type of year where Stanquan Clark makes that massive leap to becoming one of the best linebackers in the ACC, and not this guy that we just talk about as, well, he's almost right there, he's got the potential to be? Is this the year he does it?
It certainly would make things a lot easier on the defensive side of the ball if he does. Now, I'm hesitant to say that'll be the case just because we didn't really get to see a lot of him in camp. He was sort of dinged up and easing his way back. So we actually got to see a lot of TJ Capers get to step up, get some reps with the ones. And at least when it comes to the linebacker room, honestly, he was probably the most physically impressive of anyone in the open practices.
I mean, if you can play a lineup consistently with TJ Capers, Stanquan Clark, Antonio Watts, and then, of course, TJ Quinn is kind of the heartbeat, but he's a guy that you don't need to be this point, hopefully, an every down player. Hopefully you can put in some of these bigger, stronger, faster guys on some of those plays where you are going to have to either drop back into coverage. But I like that mix, and then you throw my guy, the face of this defense, in my opinion, outside of Stanquan, and I think Stanquan will, but Antonio Watts, and we'll get into that in a second. But what do you think, Vince?
I was going to say that Ron English is going to have to trust TJ Capers to be able to, and these other younger guys that we've talked about, to come in and not lose a step when it comes to calling the defense that you have with, God, there's so many TJs. TJ Quinn.
Yeah.
Yes. Sorry.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. You got it.
There's too many TJs. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
imagine Ron English.
Oh, God.
He's like, dog, TJ. Damn it, TJ! Like TJ.
That's when you just start going number system. You just get straight 18, to numbers. And
yeah.
But that's what he's losing when bringing these younger guys on the field. Is your captain of the defense, the guy that commands the entire football field. So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see on these inside linebackers.
So
that spot kind of makes me a little nervous.
For the sole purpose of being the quote unquote face of a defense, rather than Stanquan Clark, I think you're really close to flirting with hitting the nail on the head. Antonio Watts is right there. If I remember correctly, was he JUCO before coming to Louisville? Because I think
that's correct.
Yeah, Louisville's been the only Division I program he's been at. I think this will be his third or fourth season here. He's the closest thing to a career guy we have in his last year, because we still have AJ Green with time left. We still theoretically have Stanquan another year left. Him and TJ Quinn have the opportunity to step up and really be that guy, the ones like, I mean, it's funny. Watts already has the jersey number now. You saw all the kids, jersey number 9. And it's like, yeah, we had NFL caliber DB and Quincy Riley, but Ashton was sort of the fan favorite on the defensive side of the ball. I think Antonio really has that opportunity this year to step up and be that guy the community rallies around.
Yeah, and I mean, get back to linebacker play like James Burgess and Stacey Thomas, and those guys were so fun to watch.
Right?
Don't say that.
I mean, they had a great run, and even all the way back to guys like Dexter Heyman. I mean, Robert McCune, the Hammer. Right? Like we've seen great middle linebackers.
Like those guys were all over the field.
Dorian Etheridge, right? Monty Montgomery. I mean, you've had some guys along the way that maybe weren't necessarily, stars, but they played really well within the role. CJ Avery's another one. I turned on a game yesterday, and KJ Cloyd is playing in the NFL. I mean, I know it's preseason, but that's another guy. Him and Jalen Alderman were guys that kind of were low level recruits, or and went on to have good productive careers elsewhere. But what I was going to get at with Antonio Watts is the reason I agree with you, Keith, is he is by far not only, a very sound player. He does make mistakes from time to time based off of kind of how situational he was last year. But this is a guy that is a flashy football player. He's going to have a highlight play every single game, whether it's a sack, an interception, a PBU, a forced fumble where he just absolutely lights somebody up over the middle. The opportunities are endless for a guy who is as athletic and skilled, but as cerebral as he can be at times, like we saw where that play against Washington really is obviously what sealed the game for Louisville.
Yeah, he is a guy who he's a highlight reel player, whether it's his own or someone else's. He's going to end up on a highlight reel. Like we could go back to the Washington game as well, where I think it was the quarterback. He just completely tries to decleat him in the in the backfield.
In the bathroom. Wow.
Yeah. I told you boys, I'm tired.
Yeah, the quarterback escapes that situation out of a bathroom with Antonio Watts. You got a damn good quarterback.
Tries to decleat a guy in the backfield, ends up making the wrong read, and it costs Louisville a big play. But at the same time, one-handed interception in the end zone to win the game, blowing dudes up when they come across the middle, making the big hits that are going to get the stadium active, engaged, involved. And when you're playing as many important home games like we are this year, you need a guy who can make a play that fires up a crowd.
That's exactly right. And I mean, I can just envision it now, a massive third down stop, 3rd and 1 against Clemson at home. Antonio Watts just prevents the running back from coming down the middle and inside and just lights somebody up in the way that he just reacts and celebrates, sets a sold-out Cardinal Stadium into the loudest you've ever heard.
You could see him pointing into the crowd, and he's pointing directly at you. And
that's right, because I'm wearing his jersey. It's we just have in the press box. Because this year, guys, I have some interesting news. This is breaking news here for our show. Ooh. I'm going to be a press box guy this year. It's going to be a little bit of a different year for me, but I'm going to be a press box guy this year. So I might have to wear my jersey underneath a generic red polo.
That's going to be tough. Like, just
Fingers
not cheering.
Just a lot of finger snaps under the table. Rocco's going to be like, I hear cheering. No, just me. Finger snaps.
Poetry slam.
Yeah, right. Exactly. But I want to get into the pass rush. We talked about that and the big, kind of elephant in the room, which is replacing a star in Ashton Gillotte. We knew Ashton's freshman year, just in I think the 4 or 5 games he played, that kid had it, and eventually it would be his turn.
We figured that out before he even played in the summer.
Well, yeah, we saw the
500 pounds.
Yeah, man, it's like, who is this kid from Boca Raton?
So the hype was there always.
He's been carrying retirement homes, like physical retirement homes down there. That's how he's been. It's just unreal strength. The dude moved the house as a freshman in high school. I could barely put down a Bud Light without complaining about how bad beer tasted as a freshman in college. Now I drank the shit out of them, right? So we were not built the same. But this season, it's going to be crucial for this group to take a big step forward. And it's an interesting mix of homegrown talent, guys that were recruited here and have come up through the system, to the guys that have been brought in, whether it be last year or this year, to play a major role both on the outside of the defense as pass rushers as well as in the interior. And so this is the moment everyone has been patiently waiting for. It is time for me, the one and only, to unveil the top 5 candidates for the 2025 Sack King Award. This is not my prediction of who will win. These are just my dogs in the fight here. Okay, these are the 5 guys
you have to establish
I am watching. That's right. I gotta ask. Yeah, you gotta have some kind of basis to go from.
Has to be a starting point.
Yeah. This is the Sack King Watchlist.
The Sack King Watchlist. It's official. Get the press release. It is out. Here we go. No particular order, fellas. These are just all over the place as I thought of them and put them together. Okay. So number 1, Wes Bailey. Incoming transfer out of Rutgers, as I mentioned, likely going to be one of the starters at defensive end. He's a guy that's played well in the pass game, really more of a run specialist, I would say. But he is somebody that is going to have the sheer snap count to do this, right? I think he's going to be the primary in there. You got Micah Carter over there, who I'd love to see. Sadly, he's not on this list yet, but I do want to see him kind of coming up the ranks. You're going to have Maurice Davis, another young guy. You're going to have Justin Beatles, I believe, some other guys that can play at that spot. So that's 1. 2, Adonai Green. AJ Green. I've heard a lot of different names. Dwayne Martin pronounced his name so different than anything I'd heard from anybody else at this point. So now I'm even more confused. But this is a guy who is built in a lab to be a pass rusher. We've seen glimpses of it every year. Just come on, just a little bit more. Early on it was in the games where Louisville was blowing teams out, was getting out there and just getting comfortable. And then last year you saw him kind of find a role as a specialist pass rusher. But this is a guy that, with the opportunity, left behind with that role opening up and that spot opening up as that kind of stand-up rush defensive end behind Lubin, I think will be kind of how the rotation goes. But guys, I think it's going to be a breakout year for him, right? I mean, how could it not be?
I would love nothing more, Jacob. This kid has so much hype around him. I remember when we first met him, or I first met him at Kearns Corner, whenever it was their first weekend in town, that whole class's first weekend in town. Bunch of guys that aren't here anymore that were there. But Green was the one that everybody was like, holy shit, this dude is just huge. And at the time, his nickname, I'm sure it still is Sticks. That's what Dwayne was also calling him. But now he is not looking so much like Sticks. He definitely has a lot of size on him. So I'm very excited for this.
And the crazy thing is he can still put so much more size on.
Yes.
There was a
Does
notable.
He need some of mine?
There was a
I
notable.
can give him like 30.
there was a noticeable change in the depth chart during camp where Clev Lubin started getting ones, and they asked him about it in a presser after practice. It was like, yeah, I didn't make weight. I got to be at 250 and lost a little too much weight over the weekend. And it's like, God, wouldn't it be nice to be struggling to be at 250? So you say you met him down there at Kern's Corner. To get him down there on a Friday. Let's get some clam chowder. That'll put up some meat on your bones.
There you go.
Get out
right,
there.
man. That's exactly right.
Give him like 6 patty melts.
Yeah.
This might be crazy, but just like body type, like just the way that he looks reminds me so much of Aldon Smith. Like I want him to become that type of pass rusher. Aldon Smith was a little smaller, 6'4", 250. Avoid that stuff. But
just
field,
a pass rusher. Just a pass rusher.
That's right. But he's got all the tools, so I'm putting him on the list this year. I mentioned the next player's name just a few moments ago, but Clev Lubin, the transfer from Coastal Carolina. This is a guy, man, that can get after it. He is explosive. He's got not just one pass rush move, but a couple of them, which is something that as a sophomore moving up into his third season, like that's extremely impressive. A lot of room to grow. He is somebody that I still am yet to really understand what the snap count will be. Will he be somebody that's out there and you have to have him all 3 downs? Or will he end up becoming the 3rd down pass rusher and forcing Ron English and Mark Ivey to play somebody else there as a veteran run support? We'll have to see. That is yet to be seen. And obviously taking the step up in competition, you never really know. But 9.5 sacks last year, I would say that he is probably one of, if not the front runner to win this award heading into.
That's what I was going to say. If I had to put a helmet sticker on a guy that I would say is my favorite, he would be the one I'm putting a helmet sticker.
I'm going to wait for the top 5 to end, but I've got a favorite for this award as well. But just to go on, like this is the analytics darling. Like PFF, I think he was the 2nd or highest graded pass rusher in the nation last year at Coastal Carolina. Watching him at open practice just drilling, which you need a pair of binoculars to watch the D-line drilling because they put them way out there in the corner.
So you can't see him. That's exactly right, man.
Just like he is by far the most impressive bend getting around the edge. And for an offense that, let's just say we play a team that runs sort of an air raid offense, that O tackle that just has to constantly rotate between AJ Green and Clev Lubin, that's just 60 minutes of hell.
That's going to be a
60 minutes of hell, man. Yeah. I mean, that's it. I would not want anything to do with that. But you mentioned them. There's a couple of others even that Louisville has behind them that could become pass rushers that get onto the field. So there's definitely talent there. Moving right along to the interior, I would say one of the likeliest, if not the kind of top dog to be the leader from that unit perspective of sacks, and that is Renee Conga. I could have gone Jordan Garrett, but I think Conga is a guy that with more snaps is going to become more dominant. Last year we saw him kind of flash. Really played that kind of Jeff Clark role from a few years ago where he was the, kind of the rotating lineman. He'd get in and you'd be like, man, who is that? And then you wouldn't see him for a couple of plays. But I think Conga with more snaps, with Denzel Lowry there, with Selah Brown there, with other players that are extremely versatile, I think they're going to find a way to get him into the quarterback and into the backfield.
I only have one gripe with Renee Conga. And it's the fact we had 2 defensive tackles and we almost had an elite number combination. Jordan Sherrod, 99, elite D tackle number. Renee Conga stuck with 90. You got to take 0 when it's available. If you're an interior D lineman, if you're a 1 on the D line interior and you don't take number 0, you're doing something wrong.
Man,
come on.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I'm here for that. But the last contender on the list here, speaking of switching numbers, single digits, we go from 35 to the more exciting 9, Antonio Watts. And this is, I was talking to Vince before, and I'm not going to give my prediction away tonight. That's what the next episode is for. So tune into that so you can get our official season predictions, how we think the year's going to go, some of the superlatives. But I was telling Vince, I think this is the one that is the sneaky dark horse, Antonio Watts, because of how athletic he is and how they can use him if they in certain base or certain packages, if they can use him as an additional blitzer, particularly on 3rd down to add pressure. You just never know. And he is so much fun, lightning in a bottle kind of type of player. So I'm throwing Antonio Watts in, and fellas, that's the top 5. I would love to hear your reactions.
That's a good top 5 right now.
That's a
good
fair
top 5 right now. Yeah, based off of everything we've seen. Well, I haven't seen anything through fall camp, so I'm just gonna say that you're basing your top 5 likely off of college football 2025 video. It's good, bro. It's good. I'm excited for this year.
The only person who I think you could justify sort of shuffling into that list is a guy like Micah Carter, who has been getting reps behind Wes Bailey at the other edge position. Because, when it comes to getting sacks, it's usually the edge rushers or just a miscellaneous blitzing linebacker who's going to come up with it. I think Carter could have deserved a spot. And now, Vince, I'm going to push back on who you think. Like, I think it's fair. The betting public's early favorite would probably be Clev Lubin. Don't sell Wes Bailey short. Like, Jacob, you got out there. I don't know if you got a chance to see him in person. You talk about dudes who look like they were built in the lab or like first off the bus guys. Like, everyone's raving about Chris Bell for his size. And it's like, oh my God, this is an Adonis of a man. Wes Bailey makes him look tiny. He's huge. It's like, that's how I imagine how big like a guy like JJ Watt is. Like, he's listed at 6'6". It looks like he's 4 inches taller than literally everyone on the defense. He's as wide as a door frame. This dude is a freak.
Yeah, and he's also number 23, right? Like, I mean, that's pretty badass for a defensive lineman. Talking about numbers, man. I don't know why, but just a number 20 is interesting. I saw over the weekend BYU. They named their starting quarterback
Bear
Bachmeier. And what was it? Number 90? What was his
47.
number? 47.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah,
that sucks.
That's
what the hell? What are we doing? That is Rocco Mendenhall if I've ever seen it. That is terrible.
So just while we're on Bachmeier, just to sort of steer off short, how pissed do you think Hank is? So the first kid's name is Hank Bachmeier, and he has 2 younger brothers who are named Tiger and Bear Bachmeier.
I mean, come on, man. I'd be changing my name. Dude.
I'd be very happy that my name is Hank and my parents didn't name me after some weird shit.
You don't want to be named. You'd rather be named Hank than Bear. Put that on the polls. Would you rather?
I'd rather be named after one of the greatest country music artists of all time, rather than a tiger or a bear. Name one good bear. Name one person named Bear outside Bear Grylls.
Smokey
Bear Bryant.
Yeah, I'm going.
Bear Bryant. Okay, Bear Bryant came up with the most odd counting system of all time for college football. Nobody knows why. It goes 7, 6, 9. Nobody understands.
That's what we're going to remember.
That's some detailed football shit for you right there.
Yeah, it is.
Now, I just think the parents, I thought they were just like Wizard of Oz enthusiasts and it's like lion, tiger, and bear. Okay, we're set. Oh my.
No, his parents were definitely on a trip whenever they created those names. Next segment, Jacob.
Well, there's your list, and I feel pretty good about it. But I like the Micah Carter guest because I was trying to think like if somebody was going to emerge.
No, St. X kids aren't allowed on this list.
Okay, that's why Vince just texted me separate. Make sure you mention Blake Ruffin. Okay, got it. Blake Ruffin. Throwing him in there in the list now. Okay, last segment of the show here. We did this last week, and I want to run through these quickly. But more or less, we're going to throw some statistics at you guys. I should say I'm going to throw some statistic at you guys, and I want to hear your opinion on whether they are going to have more or less than that number that I give you. And all of these are pulled from last year's stats. So obviously not everybody played at Louisville, but these are the stats from last season. So we'll start right at the top. Pass rush flavor, man. I love a good pass rush. More or less, Clev Lubin, 9.5 sacks last year as a sophomore. Keith, more or less.
I'm going to go with less just because this ain't the Sun Belt. ACC, plus he's going to be rotating in a lot. He's not going to be relied on as many pass rush downs. Less opportunities, tougher competition.
Vince, what do you think?
I think I'm going to go with less as well, but I think it's, I'm going to piggyback more off of the more rotation. I don't think he'll have any, struggle with it jumping in conference between Sun Belt and ACC, but I definitely think that with what we have coming up next for your B question will also play into my response for this one.
Yeah, no, I the contrarian of not wanting to be unanimous here makes me want to say more, but I think for all the reasons you guys mentioned, Clev will probably be closer to 6.5, 7. But if you look back the last couple of years, now you had Yasir, who was kind of unfair, but the statistical numbers have not been great for Louisville getting after it. So if the number is kind of set, the number to beat, honestly, like I'm saying probably like 7.5 is the number to beat here as the Sack King champ, maybe 8.5, somewhere in there.
If Clev clears 9.5 sacks, we found our face of the defense.
That's right. Yeah. Because, I mean,
awesome.
Ashton, if you remember taking it back to last year, Ashton Gillotte only 4.5 sacks. And remember, Louisville had like 15 guys that had a sack, but most of them 1.5, 2.5, something like that. So jumping forward, AJ Green, more or less than 1 sack. I think this one will be unanimous across the board. Vince shaking your head, yes. Keith shaking your head, yes. Yes, more than 1 sack. What's the number? Like 5? Like
I think 5. I'm going to go 5.
I was going to say
that's a good guess.
4.5 being the line. I think 4 or 5 is a good number to have for him.
Okay,
We'll go 4.5.
I'll say 3.5, just because that's a pretty big jump to do that. I mean, I know 1 sack is really not a lot, and he didn't play a ton, but okay.
But this is the kid. This is a kid. That's a kid that if he's given the opportunity, man, with his size, his skill level, if he takes advantage of it, he could definitely become our feature pass rusher. Sorry, go ahead, Jake.
Totally agree. Yeah. Okay. Stanquan Clark last year, 76 tackles. I believe he was second in the team with tackles last year, behind TJ Quinn. More or less than that this year?
That's a tricky one.
I'm going more. I'm going 80 burger for Stanquan.
80 burger. Okay.
I'm going to 80 burger.
I'm calling my shot. It's a push. Same.
He's going back for 76 tackles. It's interesting. There's more guys that I think at that position that'll have more tackles than what guys did last year. But I'm going to go higher, and I think he leads the team in tackles, which sets up TJ Quinn, 82 tackles. I will kick that one off. I think that will be less this year than 82 tackles. Led the team, I believe, the last 2 years in tackles, if I'm not mistaken, for Louisville. Considering what he was coming in, that's still pretty damn impressive. But we obviously, Keith, I'll let you jump in. We documented some of his struggles last season on the show. Sorry to single you out on that one. That felt bad.
Oh, it's all good. No, I was going to say, like, Vince is the one who was calling him out more than me, but I think it's less just because the amount of playable bodies we have at the position. I feel like he is going to be the guy that's likely going to get subbed out more often than not out of the linebacking core. So just less opportunities. I still wouldn't be shocked to see him 60s, maybe 70 tackle total, but I just don't expect him to be up in the 80s again.
Yeah, I thought it was a pretty high number. What do you think, Vince?
I think it's going to be less as well. I think he'll be number 2 behind Stanquan. Like Keith said, I think he'll be the guy that gets rotated in. I bet it's a TJ show between TJ Quinn and TJ Capers getting rotated in right there. And Stanquan will be your everyday guy that's going to be making a lot of plays this year.
Yeah, I also would like to see Caleb Perry and Caleb Metlow as well. I mean, I don't know how much they'll play him. Trent Carter, another name to throw into the mix at linebacker. They've got some guys. I'd like to see them play a little bit more this year. Renee Conga, 2.5 sacks last year. Vince, more or less than 2.5 sacks for Renee Conga this year.
I'm going to go with more. I'm going to say he gets the half a sack this year and gets 3.
Oh, man, really? That's like in The Office when Pam says she doubled her sales and they ask from 2 to 4. Yup. I mean, there you go. It's still improvement, man. What do you think, Keith?
Just because I've got to go less on some people, I'm going to go less, and I'll just say he gets a nice even 2 this year. He would have had 7 if he changed his number to 0, but
just statistically, that's true. Facts. Can back that up. Yeah, and look, at that position, as I mentioned, Jordan Garrett is a guy that could absolutely lead the team in sacks. He might be the biggest snub from this list, honestly, but Denzel Lowry, Selah Brown, there's other guys at that position that you want to see get out there on the field. So, I could go either way. I'm going to say more, though, because I have him on the list. So I'm going to hope that he gets into the top 5 with more than 2.5. Next one, my favorite, Antonio Watts, 7 tackles for loss. Vince, you think more or less?
That's going to be a big cut. They're going to have to cut that one out for sure. I'm going to go with more TFLs. I'm going to say that he's going to go with anywhere from 9 to 10 TFLs based off of how just his athleticism is, like you've mentioned the entire show, Jacob, probably some of the best on the defense. So he's going to be put in a lot of situations and given the opportunity to get TFLs.
This is a tricky one because this isn't a stat that necessarily depends on Watts himself. It seems like it's going to be how good is our secondary and how much help do they need in coverage? Because if we are fine with the secondary we have and we can run, let's say, man defenses, or we can get some creative with some zone looks where we're able to bring blitzers. There isn't someone on the defense I'd rather have blitzing than Antonio Watts. So whether it's in the run game or possibly potentially getting sacks, like he's going to have the opportunities. It's going to depend on the secondary and how they hold up and if they need him dropping back to help. That said, I'm going to have faith in the guys. We'll go over 7 TFL this year.
Yeah, I all those are really valid opportunities or question marks for this defense. And I think looking at the type of player he is, I definitely think it's more. And in fact, I think he might double it. I think that he might lead the team in tackles for loss, because if you go back and you watch how Louisville played defensively at that spot with Ben Perry and then with Watts last year, really with Ben Perry, he was not the athlete that we thought he would be. I mean, he was a good edge setter and kept, plays from kind of getting and breaking loose, but he never really made impactful tackles for loss. Whereas if you put Antonio Watts in that and he sees a guy coming at him, he's not waiting for that. He's going and attacking, and I see him making more and more plays overall for this defense. So I'm going to go with more. And like I said, I think he could double it. Quickly moving through this one. This one's a little bit of a tricky one, but Rodney Johnson and Jabari Mack, 3 interceptions, more or less between the two of them combined. They were the only cornerbacks on or that were in college football last season, doesn't have to be on Louisville's roster, that had an interception. That's kind of startling. If let me say that again. These are the only 2 corners on Louisville football's roster right now at this moment that had an interception last season. Go back to the secondary conversation, and that is where the concern comes from. More or less interceptions for those 2 gentlemen. Vince, 3 more.
I'm going more. Gosh damn it. If we don't have more interceptions than that 3, then we are in some freaking trouble. So I'm going more.
I'm going to go more as well. And again, this is a stat that doesn't necessarily exclusively rely on the talent of the individual players. Our front 7, we're going to force a lot of teams to be one-dimensional this year, and we're going to force a lot of passing to go on. A lot of passing means a lot of opportunities to get a pick. Even if they're not great and they're just volume shooters, the 2 of them, come on, get 2 apiece at least. You can clear that 3 number.
I think they go more here. I'm with you guys, and I think that between Holloway, Mosby, Justin Aju, and some of the freshmen that are coming in, I think that those guys will each have at least 1 across the board there. So that's a decent sign. Okay, the last one I'll do here on the defensive side, Corey Gordon and JoJo Evans combined last year for 5 interceptions, more or less in 2025. Vince?
I'm going to go, what's the number? Would you say
5 between the 2 of them?
5? I'm going to go more.
Okay.
I'm not confident, but they're going to have so many opportunities to make plays on the football this year. With like Keith has been saying, piggybacking off Keith, like the secondary is going to have shot time and opportunities to make plays, and they're just going to have to go execute.
The only reason is Hutch included in this or no?
No.
The only reason I'm going to go less. Just because I think Hutch is going to be getting a lot of snaps back there. And if one of those guys gets 5 interceptions on their own, then hell yeah, we're doing great. I'll just be happy if the secondary as a whole can come close to Holloman's number.
Right. Yeah, no doubt.
That'd be awesome.
Keith, absolutely spot on. That's where I was going. I think the answer is less, but it's because D'Angelo Hutchinson, I'm going to say it now, he's my projection to lead the team in interceptions this year. I think he's a guy that's going to, the way that this defense is going to play to where they can get the pass rush going. They've got really strong linebackers. That allows the secondary to be a little bit, like the safeties in particular, to be a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more ball hawks, show up around the football a little bit more. I think there's a good chance. All right, last one, Keith. I'm going to start with. Go ahead.
I was going to say, Vince, knee jerk. Who leads the team in interceptions?
I can't. I'm not going to. I don't know. I don't know who's going to lead the team in interceptions. Like Jacob said, we only have 2 guys returning.
You're not a prognosticator. You got to get your prognostication up. Keith, while he's thinking, go. You got the answer.
Okay,
go.
I'm going to call my shot. I'm going to go with Rodney Johnson because he's going to be the guy that we put specifically on matchups with other teams' primary or largest wide receiver. Quarterbacks like throwing to their big wide receivers because it's a safety blanket. It's the warm blankie, the warm glass of milk. And Rodney's going to be there to take those cookies, snatch your blankie. You're sleeping in the cold. Take it back for 6 the other way. So that's why I got Rodney leading in picks.
I like that. Okay, Vince, do you have a projection? If not, it's okay. We can come back to you next week on our official predictions
D'Angelo
episode.
Hutchinson.
I like that. There you go. All right, man. Big time. Okay. Last one. Less or more than 1 thick 6 this season, Keith.
We're going to be over that total by week 4. The Hog Mollies are getting in the end zone early this year.
Breaking news: Ramon Pure has another year of eligibility.
Need it.
Vince, what do you got?
I'm going last. I don't think we'll have a thick six. Sorry.
I'm gonna push one. We'll get one this year. And if I had to predict who it is, I'm gonna go. This is just a shot in the dark, but I'm gonna go Jordan Garrett. That's who I'm picking.
I'm going Selah. I'm keeping it local. I think Ramon passed off his local touchdown powers off to Selah. The defensive line keeping it in the room, you know.
Yeah.
So I mean,
you sure it's not Micah? Or you sure it's not the Micah?
No.
I'm gonna say Wes. I'm just going to say Wes Bailey because the dude looks like he taking Captain America Super Soldier Serum. That dude's going to get in the end zone.
I could just see him going up to block a pass, like, on the edge to get his hands up, and he just catches it like in air and then just takes off running. And it's just,
that's 100% how I see it. Like a bubble screen that he's able to get a bear paw on and then just snag it and take it like 30 yards back.
I would love a good, like, I think, didn't Des Tell have one over the years where he had to run pretty far? I would love to see a big guy have to run. I know Ramon had at least one where he had to run. So, all right, well, that'll wrap it up. Yeah, right. That'll wrap it up here from the Pink Seats podcast. Thank you all so much for tuning in. It has been a fun off season, but we are finally headed into game week. Next week will be our first official game preview. Catch us sometime midweek. We don't exactly have dates figured out yet, but we will be coming to you with the full breakdown as the way that we have done over the last couple of years. But of course, every year getting a little bit better, coming back, getting ready in midseason form week 1. That's what you can expect here. We'll be out at the football stadium on Saturday for the home debut or the season debut against Eastern Kentucky, and then follow that up midweek the next week with our predictions the next week and breakdown of that game. So we got a lot of content coming up over the next couple of weeks, as well as a preview episode. So we mentioned getting our predictions out there. So make sure you're subscribed to From the Pink Seats podcast at Pink Seats Pod on Twitter. Check us anywhere you get your shows from, as well as YouTube on the State of Louisville Network. Shout out to Kern's Corner. Boys, I'll see you all later this week, and we come back and give our official predictions. Until then, go Cards.
Go Cards.